Hello and welcome back to yet another geek show where I didn't have enough time to think of something funny. This is your host, Alex Ecker.
This is your host, Alton Munnell.
This is your host, Josh Keir. Alex, do you ever have time to think of something funny?
No, but I really didn't this time.
I thought maybe he had another show we didn't know about where he was saying something funny.
Oh, that might be it.
Oh, that was, yeah. I mean, I'm the funniest guy I know.
Yeah, so if you'd like to put that out there and market it real quick for us, that other show,
The Something Funny Podcast.
where you're funny. All right, make sure to look up the Something Funny Podcast, you guys.
It's just me like reading a book of like Yo Mama jokes or some shit like the whole time.
Jeez. All right, so this week I binge watched the Ever Living Hell out of Silicon Valley. Josh, have you ever heard of it?
I know of it, yeah.
Okay, I talked to Alex
It's on
a little
HBO,
bit.
right?
Yeah. I already talked to Alex about it a little bit because we have to still be friends and be able to talk when we have a podcast. It's just it's just how it is. It's just what it do.
Yeah, because, we weren't friends before the podcast.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so it's an HBO show. I'm just basically going to be watching nothing but HBO shows to justify that subscription.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah. This show is in their fifth season. The sixth season's going to be their last, so I've picked the perfect time to jump in and binge watch it. Silicon Valley is about a tech startup in Silicon Valley, and the kind of appeal to it, the thing that drew my attention to it was hearing that not necessarily the plot line, but that the tech stuff was unusually realistic for TV. Kind of like it. Josh, have you watched Mr. Robot?
I watched like half of the first season and I really liked it, and then I got sidetracked and never finished it, but I really need to go back and watch the rest of it.
Okay, I did the same thing at a time when I think Mr. Robot had one season and this show had two, and I watched them both like back to back and then forgot about them both for a long time. And then I went back to the show and started over. But in both cases, that's the thing that caught my attention was seeing people claim, oh, the tech stuff is really realistic. And there's one or two instances where I'm going to call nonsense and say, nah, that's not quite right. But for the most part, it holds up surprisingly well. And it's, that's not really the point of the show, though. It's not a show about hacking. The camera's not zooming in on computer monitors all the time or anything. It's just the drama and the humor of trying to make this business successful and receiving offers from bigger companies to be bought out and occasionally making big technological breakthroughs. The company's biggest focus is trying to make better compression algorithms. The benefits to that are endless, and obviously that's something that a lot of real companies try to do, and that's kind of the starting basis of the show. We have this algorithm to do it better than anyone else. What can we do with a business from there?
Right.
And yeah, I mean, that stuff is all entertaining, and the characters are funny. And I was telling Alex in particular that my favorite character is one named Guilfoyle, who he looks like. So everyone in the show is obviously like a really nerdy looking dude, but like they're not like Big Bang Theory archetypes. They feel like real enough, distinct people from each other. But this one in particular, he's like a metal nerdy dude with like long hair and a beard, and he's also like a Satanist, and he actually has an inverted cross tattoo on his shoulder, and it's hilarious. And that's interesting to me, not because Satanism's awesome, but because that's a thing I don't see get representation in media other than I don't know, does Sabrina count? I don't think, but
they're not true cult.
Right. Anyway, he just has this particular attitude about him of kind of subtly shitting on all the other characters with some of the greatest insults you'll ever hear, to the point where one of the nerdier, smarter characters notices at one point that Guilfoyle, something must be a little bit off about him right now. He needs to feel wanted and he doesn't. And oh, how do you know that? Oh, well, that insult he just shared, it wasn't eloquent. It was obnoxious and juvenile. For example, here's what he called me the other day. See, and like, he was right. And so just, yeah, I don't know. I recommend this show. I'm like, I think they're in the middle of the 5th season and I'm about to catch up. I'm not going to bring it up again when I finish that season because I'm not going to have more input from a few more episodes. But
what kind of humor is it exactly? Is it more like witty rather than like visual?
I mean, it's not slapstick by any means.
Yeah.
It's the humor. The humor comes from a character place.
Okay.
Which is kind of the best way to do it. I mean, I mean, I know I said Guilfoyle's big thing is just he makes good insults, but the characters, you know, you just learn things about them and their personalities that organically lead to humorous events coming out of them.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, recommended. Keep your HBO subscription. Watch that.
Fair enough.
Definitely will do that. And now that you've reminded me about Mr. Robot again, I did really like what I watched of that show so far. And at least last year when I started watching it, it was on Prime Video. I think it might still be. So I kind of want to go check that out again too now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what service it's on. My wife just started watching that Nosferatu.
Haven't heard of it.
I don't know if it's just on like regular TV or not. I just happened to sit down after working on some of our Yet Another Let's Play stuff. And she was showing me this show, and then she's like, "Do you know who wrote this?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Stephen King's son," and then went ham on it afterwards, just talking about it. I guess it's actually maybe I'm misquoting her here, but she said something like it was about the comic book Locke Key, or it was like kind of like loosely inspired by it or something. That was one of her favorite comics when she read comics. I don't know if you're familiar with Locke Key, Dalton, because I'm not really.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm the comic book guy on the show, and I don't.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I'm a nerd, but I'm not that nerdy.
Yeah.
Sorry,
All right, well,
I'm a geek, but not that geeky. There we go. Now it's
right.
brand. Now it's brand.
So you got any insight about this show for us?
I only got to catch like a glimpse of an episode, but it's very like Stephen King-esque, where it's atmospheric and very dark, and the story really kind of has to unravel before you understand it, you know. It seems, at least it seems that way to me, like after you watch the whole thing is when it's going to make sense. And I've noticed that a lot with stuff that was, you know, something with Stephen King, like what was that one show called that she watched? It had something to do with like time travel. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. I don't know. It seemed really good, and I might have to start watching it. There's just a lot of different things going on. Like, you know, at one point there was a dude in a car driving this little kid around, and it was completely separate from whatever else was going on in the show. And there was a girl that it looks like it takes place in the 80s, and like, you know, it's the classic like, let's be with our friends at like some family gathering party thing, and they sneak a bottle of vodka or whatever, and then shit gets really dark, and then like flashes back to this dude driving in a car with this little kid, and I have no idea what's going on, you know what I mean? So it's super mysterious. I don't know, what are you looking at?
I was looking up Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, because I remembered a story and I wanted to make sure I was remembering it correctly before I said it. He made himself like a big time, like #1 selling author and everything before acknowledging who he was. Like he calls himself Joe Hill, his middle name being Hillstrom, didn't go by King and didn't like admit to who he was for a decade.
Well, maybe he was just joking.
And yeah, and he still made it. And anyway, what I found while glancing at his Wikipedia to confirm that story was that this Locke Key comic that he wrote.
Oh, he did write it. Okay.
Yeah, he wrote this comic. Apparently, this show is the third attempt to make a show out of it.
Really?
The Wikipedia page says there's a Fox pilot, a Hulu pilot, and a Netflix series.
Oh, wow. Okay. Does it happen to say what those shows are? Like what the names of them are? Or are they all?
Actually, well, now I'm confused. You called it Nosferatu. This says the Netflix series is called Locke Key.
Oh. I don't know. I
don't know if that's one of the characters' names and...
Yeah.
Or what?
I mean, she sprang this news on me today, and I don't know if it's like based on it or if it's just something that he got credited for as like she noticed it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Today's been rather hectic, and I do pay attention to my wife, but today I just chose not to.
Anyway, you got something you paid a little more attention to.
Yeah. This still involves my wife. She started playing The Witcher 3, and I never did get to finish that. She did, but she wanted to go back and redo it. And I've been playing it since like a day or two ago, and I'm about like 6 hours into my restart of the game. And so far, I've been really enjoying it, especially because like it's one of the prettier games. And now that my computer's upgraded, like I can have like everything maxed out. And the story is really interesting. I don't know if you've gotten into The Witcher at all, guys.
I started like I got like 2 or 3 hours into The Witcher 3 like 4 weeks ago or so, and that was the only exposure to the series that I've had.
Okay.
And I was a little bit overwhelmed because there's a lot going on in that game, and I'm spread pretty thin in terms of like attention span already.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I could very easily see myself playing nothing but that game for the next 3 months and like having to quit the show because I have nothing to talk about except guess what I did in The Witcher 3 this week, which actually might be a podcast that somebody would want to listen to, but I don't know whether or not that's true.
You know, I've been really wanting to jump into some MMOs, and I haven't done it for the same reason.
Buddy,
because how do I do a weekly podcast then?
Well, in August, this show's going to turn into a WoW Classic podcast because that's all I'm going to be playing.
Nice.
So you might as well join our guild.
But back to The Witcher. What is it? There's 3 games and 2 books.
7 books.
I don't know how many books.
7 books. Oh shit! I didn't realize there were 7.
7 books.
And don't you have at least 2 of them, Dalton?
Yeah, you were thinking that because that's how many books were on my shelf at one point. There's 3 of them on my shelf now.
Okay.
So 2 years ago, I haven't played 3 other than for like a half hour to see how it looked on my monitor after a big upgrade.
Yeah.
But I played like halfway through the first game right before starting a 60-hour-a-week job.
Yeah.
And so I was enjoying it, and then shit happened, and I didn't touch a game for like 6 months. And I did manage, though, to read the first 3 of the 7 books, but that was also years ago at this point, and I'm probably going to just start over soon and get into the whole franchise, because even with the first Witcher, like, not having a stellar reputation, I was still enjoying the shit out of it. I enjoyed the books I read. So
I'm gonna have to give the first game a retry, because like I started with The Witcher 2 back when it came to like the Xbox, and I really enjoyed Witcher 2. And then that's right around the time I got my PC, and then I was like, oh hey, The Witcher 1 is a PC game. And I played it for like an hour, and I was like, I can't do this. I don't like it. And then wanted to jump to 3.
I guess the thing is, and maybe you'll remember this well enough from trying it, but I guess the thing is the combat just sucks.
It was the combat that broke it for me.
But outside of that, I was enjoying the story and the world.
Yeah, the combat, it was dumb because you had to change stances. It was like a rock, paper, scissors style fighting almost, where like you had to change between 2 different stances to fight enemies, and there was no like multiple enemy fighting.
It was 2 different swords.
Was it? Well, yeah, it's 2 different swords, but I thought there were 2 different stances as well that you had to go through.
I don't really remember the gist of it at this point, but I guess it's one of very few things I've played where it's like it feels more like Diablo than Witcher 3. And other than Diablo, I haven't really played many of those. You know what I mean? Like you kind of pick an enemy, and then your character kind of keeps going on their own, and you can interrupt with a different kind of attack when you want, but it's not like a 1-to-1, I hit a button, so now I'm attacking.
Right.
And that's always a little weird to me, but it wasn't game breaking for me by any means.
But Josh, if you're wanting to do this series, like The Witcher 1 is super cheap, and probably The Witcher 2 is pretty cheap as well. You usually can get them in a bundle.
Yeah, I've seen The Witcher 2 on Steam before selling for like $2.
Yeah.
I know it's cheap as hell. It's never been a question of price for me, and more of a question of time. Plus, my old computer actually wasn't capable of running The Witcher 3, and now it can.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, maybe
I almost thought you were gonna say Witcher 2. It couldn't run Witcher 2, and I'm like,
that's what I was thinking.
No, it definitely could have run that game. No, The Witcher 3, I meant.
Oh man. But yeah, I kind of want to go back and start with The Witcher 1 and then jump to 3, because all the story, like everything you do in the game, does impact the ultimate story. Which, now that there's 7 books, I feel like I really need to learn how to read.
Wait, I thought it was Dalton that didn't know how to read.
No. I buy the books and I put them on my shelf, and then I listen to them on Audible.
Audible.com, the place to go to not read.
Oh, shit.
So, Alex, any further thoughts on Witcher 3 specifically?
I really enjoy what they did, because what they've done so far that I've seen is just make The Witcher 2 better. Because the one thing I hated, I know I'm talking about the other games, but The Witcher 2 with console controls, like a controller, it was absolute fucking garbage to play. There was too much going on not enough buttons. And The Witcher 3 really fixed that. So like everything feels a lot more fluid. You can, when you're fighting...
Are you playing 3 with a controller?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Only because like you don't really aim any weapons. You just kind of swing a sword. The nice thing...
Yeah, I would too. I'm just clarifying because I know you're playing it on PC.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, like playing this one on a controller versus The Witcher 2 feels so much better. The new, like the combat feels a lot more fluid. For example, you can cancel an attack like when you swing your sword before it connects. If you hit the dodge button, he'll dodge out of the way, which is, you know, a super important thing that I learned from Sekiro. name dropping that game for like the 8,000th time. But yeah, this game's combat feels a lot better than the second one. Some things are still a little confusing as far as like the out of game, like creating items and bombs and potions and shit. But I'll get there for sure. And my wife will definitely be helping me out with that one because she's at least beaten the game once. So yeah, I do really recommend the game. It's a lot of fun.
I think it's 4 years old at this point, and it still looks pretty new when you open it.
Yeah. And besides, there's titties in it, so...
What else do you need?
Exactly.
That's why we all play video games.
Oh, that reminds me
Truly.
of something I forgot to
Truly.
write down for myself.
Speaking of titties, Dalton, what do you got?
I watched.
You holding out on me, son.
I watched Love, Death, and
I'm waiting
Robots.
I was
Oh,
waiting for
okay,
you. I was waiting for you to be like, I got some titties. Like,
Yeah, well, I got them in Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah.
I still
talked
haven't
about
watched
this a few weeks back. Did you pick it up after that, or?
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
Okay.
Sometimes I go, oh shit, I watched this a month ago and I forgot. Let me talk about it now. But no, I watched this a few days ago.
yeah.
And so it's, for anyone not hearing that previous episode, I guess the gist of it is it's an animated anthology about Love, Death, and Robots.
Mhm.
And
titties,
yeah, you would think they would put that in the title.
right? Like, it would probably
Yeah.
make more people watch it.
Yeah,
Titties, death, and robots.
that was a real give me on the marketing that they just, I guess they wanted to pull it off on their own merit.
Yeah. And not their own titties.
Yeah.
Hey.
So the title, though, Love, Death, and Robots, I would say like half of them were about death and like 2/3 of them were about robots. I don't remember love in any of them.
Shit.
I don't
Yeah.
follow the title.
I haven't watched it, but I've at least seen enough to be like, okay.
I mean,
where's
there's
the love?
definitely a ton of death and robots, but you're right. There's not that much love, except for the love that our yogurt overlords have for us.
I remember you kind of bringing this up in that previous episode where you talked about it. Where what was
Yeah.
it, like they were abducting cows or some weird shit?
A sentient yogurt in one of the shorts takes over humanity.
Oh, that's
And-
right. Yeah. Yeah.
It basically just kind of asks for it, and then humanity's like, yeah, sure.
Because the yogurt is so smart that it's solved all problems. So they just elected the yogurt like ruler of the world, and the yogurt built rockets to go, I guess, benevolently colonize the rest of the world or the rest of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I, for one, welcome our new yogurt overlords.
I do too.
But so, Josh, when you watched it, I asked you, what is the thing tying this together? Why is this an anthology? Why is this a series? And you responded, Love, Death, and Robots. And I don't know if they nailed it on that connection. I don't really follow why this was a series. It's not a criticism,
wow.
because I still enjoyed watching most of them. I just
Also,
don't
one
get
of
it.
them was just about Dracula. So
What?
I don't even know that there was a robot in that episode. There was a lot of death in that episode, but
I was gonna say it sounds like there would have been death in it, but
there was a lot of
Yogurt-
death. But yeah, it
Yogurt
was
didn't have
totally just like
robots.
Dracula.
Yeah. It just, I don't know.
Oh,
It's
man.
not even like a studio just had a pile of them sitting around and said, well, we can't post short films on Netflix. What are we going to do? Bundle them together.
right.
They're animated by different studios.
Which was
Oh,
actually
okay.
one of my favorite things about the anthology was that every episode has its own distinct visual style.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool to see basically the different ways that people can approach this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. And I mean,
Some of them are like more realistic, some of them are super cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are actually just like I think hand drawn cartoons.
I
Some
think
of
there
them
were
are-
one or two hand drawn. I think there were one or two where it was that style where they're modeling it in 3D, and then like the way they filter it imitates 2D.
Yeah.
One of the episodes is half live action. It was interesting to like. It made it more interesting to watch all these different styles, but it was one more thing that made it. Why is this a series?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did see online, I guess the idea was there was there's a movie in like the 80s or 90s that I've never seen, but I know I've heard it name dropped here and there my whole life. I want to say it's Heavy Metal. That's like an anthology of short films of just subjects that are metal.
Okay.
And this endeavor apparently started as like, how can we remake that? And then it went, nah, sci-fi instead.
Okay.
Which doesn't really help my confusion at all, to be honest. But I thought it was worth noting while we're pondering the question. That said, it'll take you all of 2 or 3 hours to watch this thing.
Oh, okay, so nothing too bad.
I enjoyed at least 2/3 of them. Maybe a third of them were pretty forgettable, but it's worth jumping in. Maybe it's worth finding if there's just like a list of the best like 10 episodes or something, because they're, like I said, they're not all great. But
I thought most of them were at least worth watching. And the nice thing about this is that every episode is different. So if you don't like one, they're also not very long. They're all like half-hour episodes. Some are even shorter than that.
Okay.
Actually, they're not even half-hour episodes. They're like 15-minute episodes.
Some of them are like 10.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
If there's something you don't like, it's over really quickly, and then the next episode will be something completely different.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody bothered to tell me that 2 of the episodes had cats as a main component, or I might have gotten around to it a little sooner.
To be fair, the one episode with cats, probably the first one that you saw, revealing them would be a bit of a spoiler.
I mean, I wouldn't have known it was going to be that episode.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
If they went ahead and named the show Cats, Titties, and Robots.
Much more accurate, and I would have actively sought that show out to watch it. Kitties, Titties, and Robots.
I was just going to say Kitties, Titties, and Death, but... speaking of cats, though, I believe it is this Saturday, the 8th, correct? Is it Saturday the 8th? Yeah.
Let me just point out real quick before you totally change the topic that there's also some schlong in the show if that's your deal. So, not
Titty
quite as much,
schlong.
but it's in there if that's your thing. All right, move on.
Schlong, Titties, and Robots.
Yeah.
There we go. But anyway, speaking of cats, sorry, that just sounded weird. I'm getting a kitten on Saturday. I have a cat now, and you guys are hearing about it because I love my wife to death, but she has been talking about it nonstop. She's way more excited about it than I am. Not saying that I don't like cats, because we already have a cat, and I've had this cat for 8 years now.
And her name is Kat.
Whose?
Katie.
Oh yeah, Katie. Yeah, well, that's my wife's name. But the cat's name is going to be Bagheera.
Oh, I thought you were announcing it to the show because you were going to let our lovely listeners decide the name of your cat. I thought that would have been a really good discussion.
None of our fans talk to us. Who the fuck would name my cat then?
I mean,
All right, so here's the motivation. Go on Twitter, which where we've made a profile and never once used it, and go ahead and use hashtag name Broccoli Bomber's cat and submit a vote.
Yeah. Or, check out our Discord and name the cat from there. I mean, to be fair, by the time you're going to listen to this, the cat's already going to be at my house and named.
no,
So- Do it
no,
anyway.
that's unacceptable. The internet will name your cat. You will rename your cat.
The
part of
internet
the
will
show
rename
now.
the cat.
It's part of the show
the
now.
show.
You can't take it back.
Here's the thing, is that Alex is going to forever call this thing Bagheera, but I, for one, am not.
What about Bagheera Bomber?
It's more acceptable, but
that's-
it's still not what the internet chose.
Yeah, and it sounds good, but you would never actually say its whole name.
Yeah, I'd
You
probably
might
just call it.
occasionally call it Bomber, and that would require an explanation from the people
Yeah.
that hear you do it.
Well, it's not like I'm taking this cat anywhere that's gonna arouse suspicion when I yell out Bomber. So
Well, I, for one, vote for Kitty McCatface.
What about Kitties, Titties, and Death?
That's a terrible cat name. Great show name, though.
Should name it Dog.
I've always wanted to do that. Just be like, sup, dog?
In Monster Hunter World, you get like this little cat companion that follows you around.
A palico.
It carts your dead body home when a monster bites your head off. I named my palico Doggo, and it was the greatest decision I've ever made. Because he was a good boy.
He was a good boy. Oh, man, that's great. Yeah, but you know, if you guys want to see, I'll probably drop photos of the kitty in our Discord. If you guys want to see the kitty,
there we go.
Instagram.
That's how we get some sweet Discord action going.
That's right. Hashtag
Discord.
How's my kitty?
Discord invite is.
I
in
immediately
description on
regret
all
that
our
decision.
episodes, by the way,
Please talk to us. We are so lonely.
We
It's a
only have
really-
each other.
it's a really lonely Discord. Although it would help if we weren't only talking to each other in private channels. Maybe we got to just air all our business
Dirty laundry
conversations into the public channels, and then people will join in and give feedback.
Air all of our dirty diapers out. That way they can change them. Yeah. Just the look on Josh's face right there. The immediate disgust. That was good.
All right, Josh, tell me about something else.
Well,
Something, anything.
yes.
Anything?
So I beat 2 games this week,
Aw, shit.
and both of them were Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Yes.
That's right, buddy. I finished the game finally. I finished the game, immediately dived into New Game Plus, and I've already gotten the second ending.
So it's the 8,001st time this game has been dropped in this podcast.
But I finally finished it. Not only have I finished it, but I have gotten 2 of the 4 endings now. I looked it up. There are 4 endings.
Don't tell me because I haven't gotten there yet. I've only... Shit, where was I? I think I just beat the bull, and then was it Gyobu that had the spear on the horse?
Yeah, Horse Boy.
Horse Boy, yeah.
Gyobu.
Fuck Horse Boy.
All right, Dalton's probably sick of hearing about this game because he's not playing it.
I've played his copy of the game more than he's played it on Steam.
But here's the thing.
I played it for 2 hours. It's Yakuza, guys.
You really owe it to yourself to give the game another chance. I legitimately think after finishing this game twice now, this is probably one of my top 5 favorite games of all time.
Wow.
Same. It's in the top 10 for me.
I know, I immediately reached out to Alex after I beat the game, and we just fucking like
talked for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, we just kind of like blah, like poured out our love for this game over
I remember
Discord a little bit.
I immediately apologized to you because I was like, dude, I'm sorry I'm blowing you up on Discord, but like I have had no one to tell anything about this game to. Like
No,
I mean,
it was so good.
So the game didn't by any means like fail to hold my interest or anything. It's just that 2 Yakuza games came out in the meantime, and it's kind of my thing. And so I'm still...
It's kind of your thing to play crappy games?
Still nearing the end of a Yakuza game before I can jump back into that.
all right,
You,
well, for
finish
the love
those.
of God, please play this game so we can spotlight it, so I can like actually just kind of like cut open my chest and let my love for this game pour out into the ears of our loving listeners. Because
He'll cut open his titties to release the love all over the robot.
I can't even begin to talk about this. This game it's not perfect, but I cannot tell you the last time I've played a game that was just so well made.
Mm-hmm. Or a game that's demanded your attention like full-heartedly when you play it.
Absolutely. It does demand your attention, and that's why people probably say that it's maybe a little bit prohibitively hard. I don't think that that's true, but what this game does do that I find a lot of games nowadays don't is this game demands that you learn and engage with all of its different systems.
Yeah. You have to learn everything about the game, otherwise you're going to die all the time. More than twice.
Yeah. You will die much more than twice.
Yeah.
Playing Sekiro.
Yeah,
And
so all of that is why I very much appreciate the fact that one day, maybe the weekend after the game came out, I opened the game and I played it for maybe an hour, and then I was struggling to figure out how to kill a certain enemy. Like, I couldn't figure out how the timing worked, and then Alex came over, and having seen me fail at it a whole, like, 2 times, says, oh, hold on, let me do it, and then proceeds to play my copy on my Steam for like an hour while we're waiting for him to join our D&D campaign.
No, we were waiting for
now
another person
I gotta go
to come
back because you made an hour of progress and I have no idea what happened.
Oh, no, dude. I only killed that one boss for you. I was just showing you certain spots to be careful of. I didn't go any further in the story.
You kept going.
I remember because you got stuck on the very first mini boss that had 2 health bars. He was one of the generals that just had the sword. I can't remember who it is, but yeah, Dalton, I got mad at you because you couldn't get good, and you didn't die more than like twice. You died like 50 fucking times when I was watching you play.
That was like my that was like my second try.
You were like, it's so dumb. So I was like,
it took me a good probably 2.5 hours of solid, like, repeated tries to take down the final boss in my first playthrough. And I legitimately think that Sekiro has the best final boss fight of any game I've ever played. I say that really having lost to it probably close to 40 times before finally, like, actually taking him down.
Yeah. I remember what you got stuck on, Dalton. Mm-hmm. You know the danger sign that pops up when you can't block a move, Josh?
Yeah.
You either have to vault over the enemy or like Mikiri counter it.
Right.
He didn't know how to figure that out. He just seen a red symbol and then got sliced in the face like a noob.
No, there was something about the timing that wasn't working because it was saying like, oh, he's going to sweep jump. And then like I did, but it was still hitting me. Like I couldn't, there was just something about the timing I wasn't getting.
Yeah.
And then maybe if I recall correctly, I could be misremembering this, but I think it's like explanation of what to do with this particular enemy. Mm-hmm. I think it only came up once. And then I like didn't get it and really needed to see it again. And it just doesn't come back.
Can you look up like tutorials like inside the pause menu?
There is an NPC very early on that you can go talk to replay all of the battle tutorials.
In fact, he's right when you get to the dilapidated temple. The sculptor tells you about him immediately.
Yeah, and then you can practice every combat move like infinitely with him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually specifically like to learn the Mikiri counter, I spent a lot of time early on practicing with him. Oh my god, that's the coolest fucking move.
I know,
of, like,
right?
Any game. You probably haven't unlocked it yet, Dalton, but basically a lot of enemies have like a thrust attack that you can't block normally. Yeah. And you unlock this move really early on in your skill tree called the Mikiri counter, where instead of pressing the block button, if you press the dodge button right when a thrust hits you, you just fucking stomp on the spear or the sword or whatever else, and
you
like
lunge forward.
You drive it into the ground. You don't take any damage,
and then you slap him.
The enemy takes a bunch of posture damage. Not only is this move like really hard to pull off and kind of risky, but every time you land it, you just feel like the coolest fucking person in the whole world. And
it's so cool because like it's not only to like spears or swords. Like there's an enemy that does these thrust kicks at you, and you can Mikiri counter the kicks.
It took me so long to figure out that I could do that.
Yeah. There's you've got 2 good people here to help you through this game. There's no other reason except Yakuza that you should be avoiding this game. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed our
Absolutely.
spotlight episode.
Absolutely noted. I'll be finishing Yakuza Kiwami 2 tomorrow and starting Sekiro the day after that.
The last thing that I'll say is that, like, getting good at Sekiro, when it finally clicked for me, it really, like, no other game has ever, like, given me the feeling of that scene in The Matrix where all of a sudden Neo looks around and he can see the code of the world streaming down before him. And, like, he gets everything now.
I'm sure there's a mod.
That's what Sekiro felt like to me.
Yeah.
I love this game so much, and hopefully people will still listen to the Spotlight, because I actually could go really, really deep into how much I love it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I will stop for now.
Wow. All right.
One more thing. No.
Another.
No, I'm good. I just wanted to ruin you.
Okay. I was going to bring up 2 VR games of the week.
Ooh.
But I think instead, I'm going to throw out a discussion topic.
Well, before you do a discussion, I mean, we only did like a 30-minute episode last time. We can go a little longer. I'm sure that'll be fine.
All right, fine. I'll rush through a VR game.
Yeah.
I'll do one of the 2 because I don't remember the name of the other one, and I don't want to dig through my library.
Good job.
I jumped into a VR game called RacketNX that I had bought like 2 years ago, but at some point between then and now, it came out of early access, and so I decided to check it out again. And RacketNX is it's kind of a made-up fictional sport. You play with one controller that you use to, as it's implied by the title, represent a racket. But they've made up this sport that couldn't really exist because it doesn't function on real world physics, where you're inside this like sci-fi dome.
Okay.
And the wall is made out of these like beehive style tiles. And so you're basically playing against the clock to hit and clear the correct tiles. But the reason I say it doesn't respond to the real laws of physics is that it's zero gravity. So the direction you hit the ball, it continues to move in that direction. And when it makes contact with a wall, it will then roll alongside it across many tiles. And the harder you would hit it, the longer it will roll across the tiles, breaking them until it starts to come back to you. It also has a mechanic where when you pull the trigger on your racket, it kind of like grapples it back in towards you to give you a bit more control. Because if you think about it, without that, it would be absurdly easy to just lose the ball forever and you're screwed. Mm-hmm. I did see that they added a multiplayer mechanic. I didn't jump into that at all because I just don't really care, to be honest, but I'm curious to see what that changes to the gameplay. I assume you're not like standing on the same center platform together, but I don't know if you're like in the same dome working co-op on the same goal, or maybe it's based on who gets more of the tiles faster. Maybe you're in separated domes and you just see the score of the other person. I don't know, but it leads me to an interesting thought about like I don't know if either of you consider esports to technically be sports, and I don't really care for the argument myself either way, but I'm intrigued that VR can come up with things that are pretty objectively sports, and that once it picks up more in popularity, this could be what esports are based on. I'm intrigued by that idea, like professional, like video game sports leagues and tournaments that, you know, are physical and resemble real sports, such as this one relying on a virtual racket. So I don't know. I'm interested and excited about the future there. That said, I don't know how much time I'm actually going to spend in this game. It has enough of a campaign. Like, there is content there. It's not just an arcade, see how many points you can get. There are levels to it, and it looks like many hours worth of levels.
Yeah.
But even though it's really well polished and I like the general idea, it's also, at the end of the day, it is hit a ball with a racket, and that's not going to keep me absorbed. It's not enough of a reason for me to get off my lazy butt and put on a heavy VR headset.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it is what it is. I still recommend it anyway. It's still a polished, reasonable, good experience, and I'm sure I'll probably jump into it once on a whim every couple months. But yeah, it is what it is. Do either of you have anything else before I throw out this unplanned discussion topic?
I actually did remember another
Sekiro.
game. Have you ever heard about this game called Sekiro? No, I actually played a game that wasn't Sekiro this week.
Okay, it was Sekiro too.
But I actually
Shadows
forgot
twice.
about it because of other games. So I was at a friend's house over the weekend, and we put in several hours on this game. This game that he got on his Switch. It's called Duck Game. I don't know if either of you have ever heard of it.
Oh, I've seen this.
It's this game that came out. It looks like it came out in 2014, 2015. It's actually produced by Adult Swim Games.
I haven't heard of this actually.
This game is hilarious. The premise of it is it's a multiplayer game. It's like a multiplayer, like, I don't want to call it a battle arena, but it's like, here's the gist. You are
Go watch us play multiplayer games on the Broccoli Bomber Studios YouTube channel.
You guys, we should play Duck Game for the show because it would be hilarious.
We could tabletop it.
The gist of the game is you are a duck. You have a dedicated button on
You walk up to a lemonade stand.
And you say to the
Say
man,
to the man
run in the
running the
sand.
Got any grapes? No.
And he's
You
like,
are a
get
duck?
the fuck out of here.
A waddle
You are-
waddle.
Can I talk about this fucking game?
All right, I guess you are on this show for a reason.
Oh, go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
So you are a duck, and your enemies are also ducks. You are thrust into an arena where it's like generally like randomly generated levels, and there are weapons strewn about them, and basically you get the weapons and kill all your fellow ducks. I don't know why you're a duck, but you are. You have an like absolutely absurd amount of hats to choose from to customize your duck.
Okay.
You sure this isn't a Valve game?
It's not, but I mean it's on Steam, and I'm sure there are like Team Fortress 2 hat references within the game. We had not unlocked even like a quarter of all of the hats in the game during the time that we played. So that's got that going for it, if that tickles your fancy. But no, this game it's just hilarious. So the weapons you pick up are mostly guns, but some of them are like grenades and swords and things like that. And the physics of the game are just so tight, and there's a lot of like really good like ragdoll physics for when your character dies, or you actually have a button that lets you play dead. And you can actually use it in games with more than one player. You can actually pretend to be dead so that your enemies ignore you and take out each other, and then you can just spring up at some
Wow.
pivotal moment and kill them again.
So like Sekiro, where you can come back to life now.
Yes, this is called Duck Game. Ducks die thrice.
Yes. It was the thrice. That's. Oh shit.
No, but my favorite
give you
thing of the game of this game is that your multiplayer matches are generally played till like you can set a customizable like first to 10 wins or first to 15 wins the whole round, and the rounds can go pretty quickly. They could go anywhere from like be over in 5 seconds because they spawn you 4 ducks in a room that's just full of grenades and barely enough room to throw a grenade and not get blown up by the grenade that you just threw.
Yeah.
Or there are some larger arenas, and personally my personal favorite battle arena was like an enclosed space where no damaging weapons spawned at all. But the only thing that was in there was a pit of lava in the center of the arena. And my favorite weapon which is a gun that shoots out nets that tie up the duck that it hits, and then you can pick up the tied up duck and move it around and like throw it. So the object of that particular match was to net your enemy duck and pick them up and yeet them into the pit of lava.
So when you said my favorite gun, I was hoping to God you were going to tell me that this game had the BFG in it.
It probably does. There's a ton of stuff in the game that I haven't even unlocked
so that sentence
yet.
could have had a better ending, but that was a pretty good one as is.
I do what I can. And my favorite thing at the end of the round is that for whatever reason, I guess this duck game is apparently being broadcast on duck television, because at the end of every round, John Mallard comes on. He's literally a duck in a suit on a news TV show, and he'll go over the top 5 highlights of the round you just played, and it'll play back clips of the end, like the most explosive endings of some of the rounds that you just played.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, I don't think that this would be a game that you'd be interested in playing with if you were playing like by yourself. I'm pretty sure there's an online multiplayer component, but I think that this is absolutely meant to be played local co-op with as many people as possible, because it was hilarious. I had so much fun playing it, and I'm basically going to immediately buy it so that I have it around when other friends are over and we're looking for some way to pass the time.
Okay.
Duck game, super fun, super funny. Highly recommend.
Maybe
Ducks
we
Die
all three.
Thrice.
I just wish listed it. We'll see what happens at the Steam sales.
Yeah,
It's actually in a pretty good bundle of multiplayer games here
we're gonna have to figure
that
out
are strangely
sometime.
all from different publishers and developers. I don't know how that happens.
Oh, that's weird.
How Steam ends up with a bundle where none of the games are from the same people.
But we're all three gonna have to figure out a time that we can all get together, because I know, Josh, you wanted to be on a particular series that we're gonna be playing, and also this game sounds like it'd be a fucking blast to play with all three of us together.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely would.
Yeah. All right. So my unplanned discussion topic is based on the fact that E3 is next week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that I believe by the time we record next week, it will be mostly over. And so I don't know if I want to go with predictions of what we're going to see so much as just, what do you want to see? If there's like
Sekiro
one big
2.
thing, if there's just one big thing, likely. Or I guess
Sekiro 2,
unlikely.
Shadows Die Twicer.
I guess unlikely is fine too. Just what do you want to see next week?
I would love, and I guess, Nintendo's not technically part of E3, but they've always been lately like releasing their E3 Direct right when the showcase starts. And it's very unlikely, but I'd love to see some more of Metroid Prime 4. I know they just recently announced that they were basically going back to the drawing board, and I think Retro Studios wasn't originally developing the game, but they went back and scrapped what they had made and given it to Retro to start over. So I doubt that they'll even have anything to show, but as a game that I'm really looking forward to playing. I mean, Prime 3 came out in like 2009, 2010. So I've been waiting a long time for some more Metroid Prime. So as soon as we can get some more of that, I'd be really happy.
I would like to see a Switch port of the previous 3.
I would like to see that as well. They put out the Metroid Prime Trilogy Collection, and I bought it on my Wii U, which I will never touch again. So even though I got it for like $20 at the time, and it's a really good deal and full of 3 amazing games, who wants to set up their Wii U? Like, I don't know. There's a Smash out for the Switch now. That machine literally has no purpose.
Right. Well, between Smash and
that's actually
Mario
not
Kart.
true. The other thing that I do want to see is the last 2 games that I think having a Wii U would be worth it for are both HD Zelda games, namely Twilight Princess HD and the Wind Waker HD.
Twilight Princess is in HD.
Yeah, I know. They were
for
both
Switch.
out. They were both out
Oh,
on the
for
Wii
the
U.
Switch. I see. Okay.
I would love to see both of those HD remakes ported to the Switch.
I
I
didn't
never
hear
got
that
around
part,
to
sorry.
playing Wind Waker HD, even though it looked gorgeous and I really
did,
wanted to. Twilight Princess HD was phenomenal. I did play that one.
Yeah.
But
And
I
unlock
would
it to 60
absolutely-
frames.
Yeah. I would absolutely love to see them port those games to the Switch.
Yeah.
I guess all of my wants were Nintendo related, so I guess somebody else could talk about something else.
I'm
Go
hoping
ahead,
for
Dalton.
Cyber. I want to see more about Cyberpunk.
Okay.
I haven't been following it closely enough to know whether people are expecting that game to release this year or next year, but are you familiar with it at all?
Oh yeah.
I am not.
It's the next game from the Witcher 3 devs
Okay.
that they've been talking about for the larger part of a decade, and it's one of those things where you see a little bit more of it every couple years, and they're never real hard about, it's finally coming out real soon, we swear. It's just, let us occasionally feed you more and remind you that it exists. And
Yeah.
perhaps correctly or incorrectly, I'm under the impression that should be out maybe this year or next year. And so I'm hoping to see more concrete information about that one. Last year, we got a really good cinematic trailer look at it, but I'm hoping to see more gameplay this time around for that.
Speaking of imminently, like games that have been in development for forever that are imminently getting released, did y'all catch that Death Stranding trailer?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, it's coming out in November.
Does it look good?
I still don't know what it is. This was a story trailer, and I still barely know what's going on. This
Kojima, right?
This is Kojima's
Yeah.
next game.
Yeah.
And it looks very Kojima. I can say just about that much about it. Also, the game is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, did you see the trailer, Dalton?
I did, and yeah, the game looks gorgeous.
What's going on in it, notwithstanding? Yeah, I have no idea, but I do know that Death Stranding has, I think, like the best looking character models of like any game out there. Apparently they worked with Guerrilla Games, the developers of Horizon Zero Dawn, to develop the engine for this game. And it actually does show, because Horizon's a fantastic game it's also incredibly gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that, like, as much as I'm like a stickler for preferring PC gaming at all available opportunities, minus loving my Switch for the portability and largely sticking to that for indie games lately, as much as I'm a stickler for preferring PC, with one reason being the better potential for graphics, you know, if you have a decent PC, you put that PS4 in the hands of the right developers and they make things happen.
Yeah.
I haven't had the luxury of playing Horizon yet, but I've seen it, and boy, do I wish I could see a PC doing it, because it's crushing most of what we have available.
Well, you're maybe in luck with Death Stranding, because it is, I believe, not a PlayStation exclusive. It's just a timed exclusive. That's a rumor. That's a rumor that I've read, that anywhere from 6 to 12 months. There's like a 6 to 12 month window after the release in November where it will be PlayStation exclusive, but after that, it's open for release on other platforms. So I'm positive that it will end up on PC at some point. In which case, I will probably buy it again, because I'm not going to wait that long, and I already have a PS4, so I'm probably just going to buying it twice.
I haven't followed it that closely because I've known the speculation.
Buys video games twice.
I've known the speculation that it may very well be on PC, and so I haven't followed it too closely, because I'm like, I'm probably going to end up playing it 6 to 12 months later anyway. Because I don't have a PS4, and because knowing it's coming even if I had a PS4, I would never buy a game for it if I thought that game was coming shortly after for PC. But yeah, I hope it does. If I recall correctly, the kind of source of that speculation, I mean, no one involved has ever said so, but I think the marketing has just never explicitly said this is a PlayStation exclusive. Or maybe it did that like available first on PlayStation or something. No, that's what Final Fantasy VII did.
Right.
Is it says available first on PlayStation. And so everyone just kind of assumes like that does mean we're going to get it on PC, right?
No, I think the assumption is
taking for
because
granted
they've
that I
released
will.
the box art for the game and it doesn't have PlayStation exclusive on it anywhere.
Yeah.
Which is different from games like Bloodborne or Horizon that advertise that they are PlayStation exclusive games.
So to be clear, the thing that's strange is that this is... Is Sony the publisher, or do they own the dev here? I think
Kojima is
made a
freelance at this
studio.
point. This is his own studio that he founded after leaving Konami.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if after he left Konami and made this deal with PlayStation, and he did say before getting involved with Sony that his next game would also be on PC, but then that was before it came out that, oh, he has this deal with Sony.
Right.
And I wasn't sure if they own the studio he's using or if they just gave the funding for this game. But it is really strange in either case that Sony funded this and it doesn't appear to be an exclusive. And with all the rumors about it not being, you would think Sony would go out of their way to make it clear at this point.
Right.
If it were an exclusive. So I'll go ahead and get my hopes up for it.
Oh, man.
Final Fantasy VII. Please, for the love of God, show us something more of Final Fantasy
seriously.
VII. At least give us enough to speculate on a release year.
Right.
Yeah, you'd hope that now that Kingdom Hearts 3 is finally done. I never finished that game, by the way. I petered out. I got distracted by other games and I haven't felt the need to go back and finish it.
You were playing
Josh,
Wargroove.
as much as I'd say I've been waiting for this game, watch someone else finish it. Like, I was not impressed. And I was waiting for that game as soon as I beat Kingdom Hearts 2, like, fucking years ago.
I think, a decent way through the game. I'm like halfway through the Pirates of the Caribbean world. So
you may have like 2 or 3 more worlds, but
I might be like 2/3 of the way through the game at this point, or at least halfway through. But I don't know, man. I'm just not.
Yeah. All the
for a
extra
game
stuff did not feel worth it. Nothing really helped you in the game. Like it was just kind of a letdown.
Yeah,
brutal.
but
Yeah.
my original point was, now that game is released, I think that the reason that Final Fantasy VII Remake was taking so long was that Nomura was kind of torn between finally finishing Kingdom Hearts 3 and working on FF7, because he was helming both. And now I think he's just working on that. So maybe we'll see it in 6 years as opposed to 12. Or 15, or however fucking long it took to get us Kingdom Hearts 3.
It's alarming that all the footage we've seen of the 7 remake seems to be from very early in the game.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be... the FF7 remake is going to be released as a trilogy. I'm not sure that you're aware of that.
Well, I don't think, unless there's been an update, I don't think they've confirmed a trilogy. I think they definitely said episodic, and I think we're all just assuming trilogy because it was a game on 3 discs. Which doesn't really hold up because the 3rd disc is really short and not a whole game on its own. I've heard other people say just 2 games, and I don't know if that's rooted in anything useful to imply that.
Right.
In any case, I, for one, am totally okay with the approach because they clarified that even though they used the word episodic, they didn't mean that in a telltale kind of way. They meant that more in a Final Fantasy 13 kind of way, where each individual release is still a full-fledged game. So it's not play 5 hours of game, wait a couple more months, play 5 hours of game. It's play 40 hours of game, wait a couple more years, play 40, 50 hours of game.
That's, I guess, how I envisioned it would be based on the announcements that I've read, but you never know.
Yeah.
You know, there are a few games that I've really kind of wanted to see have more, like Gears 5. I'm a big fan of the Gears of War series. Like, I know they talked about it last E3, was it? Or when Bethesda announced, or Microsoft and them announced a bunch of shit. I would really like to see more info on it, because I really haven't heard anything about it.
Did that Gears of War Funko game ever come out?
I don't know, but I remember how pissed off I was, and they were like, guys, we're kidding, Gears 5. Oh my god.
I don't know if you saw that happen at live, Josh, but it was
No, I did not.
Brilliant.
It was fucking infuriating, because they were like, all right, guys, we have a new Gears of War game coming out, and then they show us this fucking pop funk, like, what is it? The Funko Pop? Yeah, they had like a game where it was like the Funko Pops like battling each other and shit.
3 games.
Yeah.
Because before that, wasn't the first one like some kind of real-time strategy or something?
I think something like that. They announced this Gears of War game when we've been waiting for this game for a good couple of years now, and then like they just, like, the whole crowd went silent, and they're like, oh yeah,
by the way, one more thing.
Yeah, oh, by the way, Gears of War 5. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was a pretty great reveal.
We're going to hear anything about new systems this year at E3?
PS5 has been talked about, hasn't it?
Because my hot fucking take about Final Fantasy VII Remake is that it's going to be a PlayStation 5 launch title, when we're not even going to see it launch on PS4.
Yeah, I'm going to lose my shit at that point. I'm going to give up.
It kind of looks too good for a PS4 game, doesn't it?
I mean, that's my take.
But then again, Square Enix has been one of those companies that are real good at pushing the graphics boundaries of the hardware.
If they're going to announce it for the PS5, they damn well better put it on the PC first. Just because,
I mean, the
like,
PS5
do we
is
have a release date
out next year? So it could very well be a launch title for that, and then PC.
Oh, cool! So that means that 6-year time frame could really mean the end of the PS5 going into the fucking 6.
The first announcement was 4 years ago, though.
Yeah, true. There's something else. Like, Sony's going to be on in this E3, isn't it?
Was that?
You know what?
Is Sony going to be in this?
You know what? I don't think Sony's there.
Ah, shit. Because
how are they not there?
Because they're
doing their own Nintendo thing.
Yeah.
Now I remember that.
Okay.
They're doing their own.
Okay.
They're doing their own, like, Sony Direct.
Yeah, I forgot reading that they weren't going to be there. Otherwise, I would have taken for granted, we've been hearing too much about the PS5 to not see something about it.
Because I was looking at Reddit, and obviously, if anybody's a longtime listener, they know that Legend of Dragoon is one of my favorite games. Somebody had posted an article on Reddit, and it was about the game, and it was like late last year or early this year that they were talking about reviving one of their old series, and Legend of Dragoon was on that list.
Interesting.
And I've seen people like take some of the sceneries from the game, from like the PS1 pre-rendered cutscenes, and put it in Unreal Engine 4 and like redid the mapping and stuff, and it looks fantastic. And it just, I don't care if I have to pay $100 for this game, I would fucking buy it. Like this game, it would look so good if they did it. And my last prediction, I'm calling this out right now.
Sure.
One of the world's most all-known series. You guys will know what I'm talking about. Skyrim on the Atari 2600. Josh is shaking his head at us.
God. Well,
you know what's funny?
The Echo release was real.
It really was too. I have it on my Echo.
Did you guys see the news this week that they ported Cuphead to the Tesla Model S and Model X?
What?
Yeah.
I saw the headline. I didn't read
your
deeper.
car can play Cuphead now, and it's only a matter of time before they put Skyrim on that bitch.
So Dalton, when we
As a matter of fact, when you install Cuphead in it, what happens is you start running the game and you get all that opening dialogue back and forth with the devil, and then the screen fades to black, and when it comes back in, you're in a cart with other prisoners.
Oh, you're finally awake.
to Sovereign Guard. Anyways,
we're not going to see any Elder Scrolls 6.
Dalton,
I hope we see some Starfield at this point, but I don't really have faith in Bethesda anymore.
Yeah, they announced that new IP though. Last E3, didn't they? Where it was in space.
That's what I'm referring to. Starfield. And so I want that to be good. I want like something new like Death Stranding to be excited about.
Mm-hmm.
But like after Fallout 76 and after admitting that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 won't be on a new engine, I'm going to be hard to please.
Not to mention Blades was garbage.
Blades was garbage, and I remember being excited about it when they announced it, and boy, do I feel dumb for that now.
It was trash.
Hell, Fallout 76, you and I were excited for like a week.
Yeah, and I'm not
And
a
then we
Fallout
really
guy.
thought about it and went, wait a minute. This doesn't
I was
sound
pretty
like a good
close
idea.
to like actually getting and playing that game until it actually came out, and then everybody was talking about how horrible it was.
My wife, she was like, "Oh, hey, did you see that Fallout 76 is like $35?" And I was like, "No, but that's not a good sign." She's like, "Well, I wanted to get it," and I'm like, "Well, go ahead." And then she gets it, and all I hear is, "This game fucking sucks!" Like from halfway across the house. Oh man, that was funny. Yeah, I'm not a Fallout guy at all, and like they somehow managed to get me excited for it. And I don't know about you, Dalton. You're not really a Fallout guy either, huh?
Yes and no. I've never managed to finish one only because I've said before, I just really struggle to finish really long games. I can't keep my attention on one thing long enough. So I've restarted Fallout 3 and played the first 10 hours of it like 10 times at least. And the first moment leaving the vault in that game is one of the most memorable gaming experiences I've ever had that I'll hold dear.
Yeah. I remember because you sat me down and made me play that part.
That was a real technical feat at the time.
Yeah.
Today is nothing special that you know, today a teenager playing that game would go, "What? I don't get it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, you weren't there at the time, I guess. Fine.
I played a little bit of New Vegas, which I think people seem to agree is like the best one of recent Fallouts.
Yeah.
I played it for like an hour or so and never really got back. I don't think I gave it enough time to let it click for me. But I don't know. I also don't really consider myself that much of a Fallout guy.
Okay.
I'd really like to see a Fallout 3 and maybe New Vegas remaster announced. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, those games are pretty buggy nowadays and could use some updates to improve the modding capabilities and improve the looks of the base game to require less modding nowadays. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to see
know
more. I want to see more Doom Eternal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I am not a first-person guy, really, but I adored the new Doom.
Doom was fucking dope, and I only played it for a little bit.
I actually never played that one, but it looks really cool.
It's easily my favorite FPS I've played. Not that I've played many.
There's a lot of games that Dalton has that I just steal off of his Steam library.
Yeah. But it's a weird thing where I'm like, ooh, yeah, of course I want to follow up to that game I loved. But I'm also like, oh, that game got it so right that what do you actually add? Even visually, it still holds up as if it were a game that came out this year. And my system runs it 1440p, 144 frames like nothing. And
Yeah.
I'm curious to see, like, what did you possibly find to improve on to justify giving me a follow-up? It's like, how do you make another Smash game at this point?
Yeah.
That is a really good question.
With the last one being as good and complete as it is. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just make DLC forever.
Speaking of, do you think they're going to announce some DLC at E3?
Oh, they'll definitely announce the next fighter. It's been a while since Joker came out, and we don't even have any idea when the next character is coming out. So I'm sure that Nintendo's going to announce at least one.
I have an idea.
Character.
What if they announced Sora from Kingdom Hearts 3 into Smash Bros?
That's a pretty popular theory that I think I've heard a lot. I go back and forth on whether or not I think that's likely.
Right.
I think the game just has enough blade wielding anime characters as is.
Right. I mean, but he's going to be a lot more,
that I can already like.
I also just kind of feel like now that Kingdom Hearts 3 is out, and I feel like he's not as relevant anymore. There's only ever been
it's
one
either him.
That's not true. There's been a lot of Kingdom Hearts games on Nintendo consoles, but none of them have been mainline.
I would like to see either Sora or even Riku, because Riku doesn't get enough attention in the games, I think.
Well,
like, you got to play him a couple of times. Anyone. Like, you got to play Riku a couple times in Kingdom Hearts 3, but it was like, I liked his moveset so much better than Sora's. And like the brief 10 minutes you get to play as him in the game. It'd be neat if they made him like a mirrored character of Sora,
Hey, maybe we'll finally see those Kingdom Hearts PC ports that I've been absolutely certain about.
Yeah, maybe
that'll come along one of these years. Also, for the love of God, Sega announce some Persona for PC, please. I just want to give you my money.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that pretty much summarizes what I want to see. Mostly PC port begging.
Mm-hmm.
Please give me
Skyrim on the Atari Jaguar. Play some Jag.
Have you guys ever played a Jaguar?
I have not.
Great. It's not great.
It's not fun.
You can feel
Skyrim for the Philips.
Gaming history.
Skyrim for the Philips CDI.
Jeez.
Only if they release it as a compilation with the CDI Zelda games.
Yeah, then it would be worth it.
Oh, I do.
If we lived in a world where we could spotlight those games, I would die happy.
Well, I mentioned in a
figure it
previous
out.
episode, I can get a hold of a Philips CDI and a copy of The Faces of Evil.
We'll figure it out, you guys. Oh, I do have one more thing that I'm looking forward to that I'm pretty positive will happen.
Sekiro.
So Epic Games is hosting the PC gaming portion of the conference, and I'm just looking forward to everyone boo them as they announce more exclusives.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah,
and
that's going to be the real highlight.
I even think that it would be, to an extent, deserved.
Yeah.
I know...
The same way that last year we got that glorious footage of Bethesda being booed for Diablo, I want to see Epic go out there and one at a time announce 5 or 6 new exclusives and every time get that same reaction.
Good.
And then they'll be like, what? Don't you have the Epic Game Store launcher?
Right.
You all have that, right?
I mean, nothing's ever been a top. You guys don't have phones as the worst game announce of all time.
Man, that's I forget what game or what it was, but I just remember this panel, and they were like, this game is going to be based on realism in Japan and like ancient history battles, and then they cut to a giant crab battle.
Giant enemy crab.
Yeah, the giant
Oh
enemy
my
crab
God.
that has massive attack
I
and
just
no
saw
weak
this
point.
today. Was
Attack
this on
his
Reddit
weak
or
point for
something?
massive damage was like
They
the
brought it up
meme
on
of
DYKG.
2004.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was like one of the best moments of E3 history I've ever seen. Or
That was like PlayStation 3 launch.
what about when
Man,
they
that's an
what
old meme.
what about when
checks
they
out.
dropped Peggle 2? Where he was like, Peggle
see
2, and then fucking jumps in the air with a fist. And like they play the victory theme from Peggle. You have to look this footage up. I forget what came on before it that got announced, but it's so good.
Oh, obviously we'll see some Master Chief Collection.
Oh, sure.
And some more information about the Xbox Game Pass. Have you guys been seeing about like Microsoft's like initiative lately with PC?
Oh, we're doing a lot of porting over, aren't they? Or like,
Well, so they made it definitive. I think maybe it was last E3 that every game they made from that point forward would be on PC. That there are no longer Xbox exclusives, only Microsoft exclusives. And they've stuck to their word, and they've gone back and done most of the games that were missing at that point, Master Chief Collection being one of them. And then they started doing other crazy things like opening up their API to allow like the Xbox interface into like Android games and Switch games and whatever the developers want to do with it. Like I think it's Cuphead and Ori on Switch unlock Xbox achievements.
really?
Huh.
Certain mobile games do it. Just weird odds and ends, like really open-minded things like that. But they also, when they officially announced the Master Chief Collection, they revealed that like they were releasing it on Steam, and they've been talking about that a lot lately. Like that's going to be the general policy. Not only that, I think they've only officially said Steam they're going to release games on, but I think they've also clarified it's not even going to be just their own store in Steam. That they haven't said who, but presumably like probably not good old games because they'd require them to remove the DRM, but just other stores in general. And I just really appreciate like they're doing some really consumer friendly stuff there. And there's starting to be rumors now. Their Game Pass like subscription model that's been available to some extent on PC for a long time, and that if it happens to include a game that like Alex, you bought the latest Gears of War, and I think that gave you access to it on console and PC with one purchase.
I think so.
So if I recall correctly, games that are like that have always worked on PC for the Game Pass, but apparently they're expanding it to be a proper PC service, and they're going to drop like hundreds of games on it.
Okay.
So that PC gamers actually want to subscribe to it. But another thing that's getting rumored is that this might actually work inside of Steam. You might pay for that subscription and get access to those games inside of Steam, which is something Valve has to cooperate with. They can't make that decision on their own.
Yeah.
But that's just another level of crazy consumer-friendly things. And I guess consumer-friendly is the route you take after you lose this generation, but whatever it takes to get them there.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess I'm excited to hear more about that too.
Oh, definitely. I'm just excited to see what all new or new information we're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's new product or whatever, what have you.
Yeah. But all right, that's about all for me, guys.
That's it for me too.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same.
All right, we'll call it a day. And next time you guys hear from us, we'll be talking about what actually happened at E3 and not just what we wanted.
I can't believe that they really did launch Skyrim for the Sega Dreamcast.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.